Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing these jumbo knotless braids. The way I do them, I do my braids actually thick. I see most people do the parts thick, but the braids are pretty skinny, and I got a big head, so the braids have to be thick too. But in this video, I'm going to show you 3 easy techniques that you can do whether you want to do feed-in or you don't want to do feed-in, whether you're advanced or beginner. These techniques will work really well for you. It's going to be like a show and tell, so I'm going to show you and then I'm going to break down why I did it and the pros and cons of each technique, and we're going to go through all of that today. I ended up using 3 packs of the 84-inch expressions hair, the same one that I always use and my same wax that I always use, which I will link in the description box below. Now, if you are coming back to my channel, thank you for coming back. Kind of needed to take a little break. If you are new, then I'm gonna just wait for you to subscribe, because why wouldn't you be subscribed? So now that you are subscribed, welcome to the family. So yeah, I hope you guys learn a lot from this video. Hope you try this style, and let's get into it. So to start off this style, I just had my hair in some braids from like 3 days ago when I washed my hair. It's not the most stretched, but you know, it works. And I separated my hair into these sections and kind of just put them into bantu knots. I wouldn't even call those bantu knots, but I just wanted to get it sectioned first. It makes this process go by way easier. So I actually went and finished about 3/4 of my head off camera, and I'm showing that I did leave the ends out because we're gonna curl the ends. So this is basically how it looks. So now we're going to get into the first technique. Now I'm just going to detangle, and I'm showing you how big of a section of braiding hair I'm using, and I'm pulling on the ends to taper it down. It's going to give you that nice gradual taper down to the ends, so the ends of your hair isn't too blunt. Now preparing the hair for braiding, I'm splitting that piece of braiding hair into 2 sections, showing you that one piece is big and the other piece is about half the size of the other section. You're going to take that smaller piece and fold it over that bigger piece to make 3 equal sections, which is why the smaller piece was half the size of the larger piece. Hope you guys are following what I'm doing right here. So now that you have the braiding hair into those 3 strands, you want to prep your hair into 3 strands. Right now I'm applying some of my wax, which I always use. I will link it in the description box below. I'm just applying it around the sections and separating it into 3. Now for the first technique, once you've got your real hair into 3, you're going to take that braiding hair section, you're going to place it underneath your real hair and line the strands up. So you're going to line the 3 sections of your real hair with the 3 strands of the braiding hair, but the braiding hair is going to be underneath. Then you're taking from the corner and you're going to bring it in. We're going to go over this again, but you're basically grabbing that end piece, which is your real hair and the braiding hair, but your braiding hair is under, and you're going to take it to the middle. Then take the one from the front to the middle, the one from the back to the middle, and you're interchanging to just do a regular braid going down. Now the con of this technique is there will be a knot underneath. So on the top it looks pretty flat, natural and knotless, but from the bottom you will have a knot underneath. Don't worry, we're going to go over this technique one more time. So let's start again. Lining the braiding hair underneath your real hair and lining the 3 strands of the braiding hair with your real hair. Once you got that all together, you start from the section in the corner. Hold it pretty tight. It's gonna be hard at first to get it tight, and then you're gonna bring it to the middle. Seeing I'm taking that section in the front, bringing it to the middle. Right, the back, bring it to the middle. You're interchanging these strands and bringing each of them to the middle. to the middle. The one from the front again, you bring that to the middle, and you really just do this all the way down. This is the easiest technique. The only con is the knot underneath. I also want to point out that for this technique, we're braiding over to the top. Some people braid underhanded, but for this technique, you have to braid overhand so that you can really keep your real hair on top. Okay, so on to the second technique. Is very similar to the first one. We're going to just take off a little piece off the section. I don't know how big, about a centimeter or so, I'm not really sure, but I just took a piece off the top of that section and put it away. You're going to do the same thing. You split what's left into 3 and then line it up with your braiding hair going underneath this section. Here we're going to do the same thing where we bring the corner piece over the top to the middle, keeping your real hair on top. Then the front piece to the middle, keeping your real hair on top, and you keep braiding in. Now after you've gotten a hang of the braid, I'd say you crossed over about 2 times. You add that piece into the middle just to cover everything and give you a really smooth top. Now with this technique, I realized that I was struggling to keep it tight. It doesn't look as tight. This is a way to make sure that you get that really knotless look, but it's not as easy to get it tight. So we're going to do it again. And I got it really tight the second time. So I take it and I cross over 1, and then I took the one from the front and I crossed over 2, and then I immediately took that piece from the top and added it in. So to get this tight, you don't want to cross over too much and braid before you add that piece in. You just want to start the braid, go 1, 2, and then add it in right away. And you continue the same way we did the first technique, where we just keep going over and over, bringing the end sections to the middle and braiding down. Now with the second technique, you'll also get a knot to the bottom, but we're going to move on to the last technique, which gives you no knot, and it is the original version, which is the feed-in method. Split your hair into 3, and braiding from the top, from this angle, I'm going to focus on using my middle finger. So when I braid twice, my middle finger reaches the front and I feed it into my middle finger, and then I'm just going to continue braiding under. Once you braid twice, that middle finger comes back to the front and you feed in that hair again. Gonna go again, braiding under, middle finger comes back, and then you feed in your last piece of hair and you continue braiding down. This is my favorite technique, but I'm going to show you how I do the same technique from another angle, which is me basically just having my elbow up in the air. So yeah, I braid twice the same way, but since my elbow is up, I started using my pointer finger. So same thing, feed the hair into my pointer finger and then grab that entire section with my real hair in it and the braid hair, braiding back, go under again, braiding forward. Notice my pointer finger comes back to the front, and then I feed in another piece. I'm going to do the same thing, continue braiding back, braiding forward. That pointer finger is at the front again. I'm going to feed in my last piece of hair, braiding back, braiding forward. Okay, now that I have fed in all of my sections, I'm just gonna do a regular 3-strand braid, just going straight down, and that is basically it. Now earlier I mentioned that I did leave the ends out. Now 2 ways that you can see that is by taking a small piece from the braiding hair, just a tiny piece, and you're going to wrap it around and tie a knot in the same spot 3 times. Braiding hair is actually good for doing knots. So if you don't have an elastic band, you literally just take a tiny piece of braiding hair and you can seal the ends of it with the braiding hair by just doing a knot in that spot 3 times. And when you dip it into the hot water, it'll really seal that knot and it won't move. Now the second method, which is what I use because I had rubber bands, I just took some small rubber bands and put them on the ends, wrapped it a few times, and that was it. Now to curl the ends of these sections, I use 6 of these red flexi rods and I hook it on to where the braid stops, and then I just twist and wrap all the way to the end. When I reach the end of the braiding hair, I fold the flexi rod over to seal it, and then I just dip these sections in hot water and I was done. So now that you have watched the video, I hope you are feeling really confident in doing your jumbo feeding braids. Y'all know I love a feed and I love a knotless braid. So I did actually end up curling the ends, which I showed in the video. The method I use, as I said, was the feeding method. All methods are great. I just find that that one looks the most natural for me personally, and I personally love doing feeding braids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link 3 other videos in the description box that I've personally watched and that I think are very helpful. This video is, I guess, like a combination of techniques, but I'm gonna list videos that I guess break down each individual technique, just in case this one didn't really break it down as well for you. But I really do hope you guys try this style. If you have any questions, anything you want to ask, the comment section is below. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram and my socials. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in my next video.